Why would God lead us this way? One Israelite whispers to another as they trek through the frightening, moonlit desert. Shadows of rocks dance like silent watchers under the silver glow. The air is still, and every footstep crunches against the dry sand. No one dares to speak too loudly, for the weight of the unknown lies heavy on their hearts. Moses walks ahead, his staff in hand, his eyes fixed on the distance. God had spoken to him. Tell the Israelites to turn back and camp by the sea. Moses spoke back to God and said, God, my Lord, my Master, but why here, trapped between the water and the mountains? They're coming! A loud scream breaks the quiet of the early morning. Mothers clutch their children close. Fathers grab whatever they can to protect their families. Over the hill, the sound of Pharaoh's chariots rumbles like thunder. Horses gallop fast. Soldiers race behind them. Dust clouds rise, twisting up into the sky like a storm. The sun flashes against their armor, shining like fire in the distance. Hearts pound. Fear spreads through the camp like wildfire. Cries break out everywhere. The Israelites are gripped in fear. Why did you bring us here, Moses? We're going to die in the desert. And now, my piece of advice to you. As a child of God, remember, even when things feel scary, when fear rushes in like a storm, trust that God already has a path through it. Moses raises his hand, his voice calm yet firm. Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. His words cut through the chaos like thunder from the sky. The crowd grows quiet, every voice silenced. Breaths are shallow, eyes locked on Moses. He steps forward, closer to the edge of the sea, his gaze fixed on the endless waves before him. God will fight for you. You need only be still, Moses says with power that settles every heart. Suddenly the winds shift, not a normal breeze meow, but a bit more stronger. It rushes past them, unseen yet undeniable. Whispers spread through the crowd. What is happening? Still surrounded by fear and not knowing what to do. Life lesson. When life feels overwhelming, stop, be still, and trust God to do what you can. As a child of God, when you feel surrounded by problems with no way out, remember this: you don't have to fight alone. God will make a way for you. Stand still, believe in His word, and watch God move. Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea, God commands Moses. The air shifts Midian, but this time it howls. A fierce east wind rushes in, roaring louder than Pharaoh's army. The water trembles, the sea groans like it's alive. Waves twist and churn, then suddenly the impossible happens. Walls of water rise, towering like mighty cliffs. On both sides, the sea stands tall. Beneath it all, the ground is dry, firm like solid stone. Move, 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 hurry, run, Moses shouts with urgency. Cross now. Children's eyes go wide, faces filled with wonder and awe. Families rush forward, walking on a path that was once buried under the sea. The light of the sun streams through the watery walls. It shines with an otherworldly glow, like stained glass from heaven itself. Life lesson. When everything seems impossible, trust that God can create a path where none existed before. As a child of God, when life feels like you're standing in front of a sea with no way through, remember this: God makes paths where none exist. Just like He made a dry path for His people, He will open a way for you. Keep walking, even when it seems impossible. They're following us, a young boy shouts, his voice sharp with fear. The Israelites turn, eyes wide with panic. Pharaoh's chariots storm into the path, charging between the towering walls of water. The soldiers shout, their voices bounce off the watery cliffs. For a moment, terror grips the Israelites. Run faster, someone cries, their voice trembling with urgency. But God speaks, His voice clear and strong to Moses. Stretch out your hand over the sea so the waters may flow back. Moses walks to the edge of the dry path, his steps steady, filled with faith. He raises his staff once more, eyes fixed on the horizon with unshakable trust. The air shifts again, the roar of water builds like thunder from every side. One soldier looks up, his eyes wide with horror. Suddenly, the mighty walls of water collapse. With a deafening crash, waves explode down with unstoppable force. Life lesson. When enemies chase you, trust that God can close doors they cannot reopen. As a child of God, sometimes it feels like troubles are chasing you down. But just like God closed the sea on Pharaoh's army, He can close the path of your enemies too. Stay faithful, keep walking forward, and trust that God will protect you. And now, there was an extreme. Silence, deep and still, only the soft sound of waves gently washing against the shore. The sun breaks through the clouds, casting a warm golden glow on the sand. The Israelites stand together, breathless, gazing at the sea before them. The waters have swallowed Pharaoh's army, gone without a trace. Suddenly, a cry of joy rises. Children laugh, elders fall to their knees in worship. Parents hug their children tightly, faces wet with tears of relief and joy. One voice begins to sing, then another joins. Soon, the whole camp is singing together. The Lord is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. Moses stands at a distance, his heart full of awe and gratitude. His eyes shine with quiet joy as he watches the people worship. Today, they have seen the hand of God, and they will never forget. Life lesson. Never forget to celebrate your victories, because every victory is a reminder of God's faithfulness. Now, as a child of God, when you see God move in your life, don't stay silent. Celebrate, sing, and give thanks like the Israelites did. Every victory is a reminder that God fights for you. Keep this in your heart, and you will never forget His goodness. The story of the parting of the Red Sea is a story of trust, fear, and the power of God's deliverance. When there's no way forward, no path in sight, God can create one. When fear fills the heart, faith can rise in its place. And when faith takes hold, victory is just ahead. This story shows us that what seems impossible is possible with God. Life lesson. When life feels like a dead end, trust that God can open a new path just for you. As children of God, remember this: when you feel trapped with nowhere to turn, God sees a way you can't see. Just like He made a way through the Red Sea, He can do it for you. Let fear turn into faith, and watch how God turns faith into victory.